The All-Star festivities are officially behind us, and now we're going to recap the first half of the Detroit Tigers season. I know nobody wants to do it, but we gotta. We gotta have a full conversation just about how much of a, I guess failure is the word, the first part of the season has been, and take a look forward at what needs to change in the second half, what will be done in the second half, etc. All today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Thursday, July 21st, 2022. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We just hit the 500 subscriber mark on YouTube. I appreciate all of y'all, for real. It's very, very cool. Another way we can interact, and I'm all for any way we can interact as a community and as a fan base. So very, very cool stuff to see that number keep climbing as it does every single day. Okay, so for today's show, we are going to discuss the Detroit Tigers first half, which I know everybody really wants to do. Everybody's like really a big fan of talking about the first half of the year. Today's episode is also brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline, as you cover the season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. So, the first half of the season, I think you kind of have to call it a failure. And I don't think that it is. I don't know. I go back and forth on the exact word I want to use to describe it. I think failure is probably a word that pretty much everybody will agree that it has been. This has been a failure. I think it's a pretty objective failure at that. This is a team that won, 77 games last year, just barely was under 500 last season. After May, whatever the date, May 8th, was that the day? May 4th, 5th, whatever. After that date last season, we're a 500 baseball team. I mean, this was over 500 against teams that were like first place in the division, over 500, I think exactly, almost against playoff teams. Like, this was a team that was competitive last year after the month of April, and during the offseason brought in 5 what were believed to be impact players to add on to a team that barely was under 500. That was there were very, I don't want to say lofty. I don't want to say that anybody was like, "Oh my goodness, the Detroit Tigers are going to, make the playoffs or win the World Series or anything like that." Excuse me. But I do believe that, I made anybody that makes content for this team is just really looking brutal from the offseason. I think a lot of us were, anybody that has a show or even just writes about the team, journalists, just all around. I think a lot of people set up themselves for a lot of excitement going into this year, had some expectations. And yeah, so we as a network, Locked On, we made videos right before opening day about what type of team you were, whether you were a contender or a pretender, right? And I host the show of a team that is 20 games under 500. Okay, 18 to be exact, 37 and 55. My team is 18 games under 500 at the All-Star break, and I said contender. And I said in the video, I made it clear. I was like, I don't expect this team to make the postseason. I don't expect this team to make a deep run at a ring or anything like that. But my expectation, what I told everybody when I talked to other people in that community, when I talked to just my friends, when I talked about the Detroit Tigers going into the season, my expectation was be one of the best teams to miss the playoffs. That was my goal, right? That was that's a successful season to me. If this team was an 83 win team, right? Because you add another playoff spot because the slightly expanded playoffs in the new CBA. If you're in that mid to high 80s, you're probably one of the better teams to miss the postseason. So if we can just get like 3 to 5 games over 500, I will consider this a successful year. And this will be a great next step to contention. And then I've also been telling people for years, plural now, that 2023 was always the year that I had circled of like, this is when this team should be in the postseason and like making noise and being a legitimate contender. 2023 was always the year for me. It always was. And so this year, a great stepping stone to that would have obviously been, right, if they were one of the better teams to miss the postseason. This team at the All-Star break is, like we said, 18 games under 500. They have the lowest runs per game total in the entire sport. And the crazy thing is, it's not particularly close. So if you're looking at just runs per game, simple stat. And the sad part is it's gone up a lot and we're still comfortably last. That's the sad part. So currently, oh, this is fitting. It's 313. There you go. Shout out Detroit. Our runs per game as it stands on Wednesday, July 20th, before we've played the doubleheader on Thursday, is 3.13 runs per game. In the last 3 games, it's been 1.67. We got shut out, obviously, the last game we played. That doesn't help that. At home, it is 3.62, which is the 4th lowest in baseball. And on the road, it is 2.62, which is comfortably the lowest in baseball by almost half a run. Half a run over the span of over 80 games, almost 90 games, is astronomical. Over 90 games, actually. Math, sorry. Over half a run difference on the road between the 29th ranked team, which is Colorado. But Colorado has the highest at home, obviously, the Coors effect, right? Now, just for comparison's sake, last year the Tigers had 4.3 runs per game, and that had them as the 8th lowest in baseball. That ranked them 22nd, and that's a team that was 4 games under 500 after game 162. 4.3 was 22nd. That is in the bottom 8 in baseball. This year, we have 3.13. Oakland is at 29 with 3.29. It's almost 0.2 of a run. That's pretty significant. Again, over 90 games into a season. It's unbelievable. My favorite stat, though, and by favorite, I mean least favorite, we will get to right after I tell y'all about our friends over at Sports Card Investor. So the Sports Card Investor app is awesome, and it's a new app that is really taking over the trading card industry, I guess you would say. Community is probably the better word. It's completely free. You can easily browse over 630,000 cards from every sport, hundreds more added each week. You can check out the latest values of your cards with the 7-day or 30-day charts, find the best prices, and buy directly through the app with their eBay deals feature. So the coolest thing about it is as you're looking through, it's like a card pops up and you can see when it's trending, right? You see, okay, this is whatever, Gregory Soto, Miguel Cabrera. Okay, that's probably a lot more liked in the Tigers community right now. Let's do Miguel Cabrera. Say there's a Miguel Cabrera rookie card. You can see, okay, in the last 7 days, where has this card's value gone? And it'll show you like a little chart. Or, oh, in the last 30 days, what's this card's value been? Price, popularity, just where it's trending. It has all the information you can need on this card. So whether you're just a card collector that maybe just wants to add to their collection, or whether you're a serious like card flipper and you want to buy and sell cards, this app is perfect for all types of fans and all types of card collectors. So go download the Sports Card Investor app today. It's available for free in the Google Play and Apple stores, or go to sportscardinvestor.com/locked on. All right, everybody. Welcome back here to our second segment of Locked On Tigers. Thanks for making us your first listen every single day. Which NFL stars moved the betting line the most? Well, on July 18th, Locked On started their 50 most valuable players in the NFL from the odds makers at Bet Online. It has been available since July 18th on Locked On NFL, wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Okay, so we're talking first half of the season. What's gone right, what's gone wrong. Right now, we're very much talking about what's gone wrong. So and again, favorite is very sarcastic. One of the most just disgusting stats of the entire season is home runs per game. Okay. Home runs per game. The leader in baseball this season is the New York Yankees with 1.71. Okay. They are averaging well over 1.5 home runs a game. It's been an absolute clinic. We all know that the Yankees have a ton of home run hitters, and they are at the top of this list, and it's not even close. They're almost 2/10 of a run. They're 0.15, golly, 0.15 runs ahead, home runs ahead of the Atlanta Braves, who are in second place at 1.56. So pretty wide margin there, but still, a lot of teams have at least one. The Baltimore Orioles, 16th in baseball, 1.03 home runs a game. The top 23 teams in Major League Baseball all have 0.9 or higher. Okay. So only the bottom 7 teams there have less than 0.9 home runs a game. Second to last is also the Oakland Athletics yet again. They have 0.75. Take a guess out loud on what you believe the Detroit Tigers home run per game total is. Second to last is 0.75. Ready? Say it. Okay, that's a really good guess. Nice try. It's 0.58. That is almost 2/10 worse than the 29th ranked team in home runs per game. It's been a problem we have talked about on this show time and time again. And the sad part is everybody's like, oh, well, we play in Comerica Park. We have less home runs on the road than we do at home. So, no, it's not Comerica Park. It's never been Comerica Park. Everybody loves to do the, Comerica is such an issue and, whatever. Like, yes, it has an unbelievably deep center field. And then the gaps in center field to right and left field are obviously very deep because of that as well. But like, there's a lot of stadiums that are deeper on left field and in right field, right? If you're hitting the ball to center, yeah, you can get Comerica. If you're hitting the ball to left and right, if you're pulling the ball, it's not that deep. Like, it's really not. Home runs per game at home is 0.6, and home runs on the road is 0.56. Unbelievable stuff, truly. In 2021, we had 1.1 home runs per game. That was in the bottom 10 in baseball, but was nowhere close to the very, very bottom. There is no power. And who could have predicted it? Who could have predicted it, right? We talk about, we bring in Javi Baez. Everybody knew Javi Baez's issues. Everybody knew what he was going to be as a player when he came in. We've seen 6-7 years of Javi Baez. We all knew what we were getting ourselves into. We knew that we were going to get a good defender that was going to make some throwing errors, and he was going to hit a lot of home runs, but he was also going to strike out a lot. We knew that. Little did we know that he would, for 2 months, literally forget how to hit a slider. Just completely forget. My nose is driving me crazy. I don't know why my nose just got so itchy. Um, he would just forget how to hit a slider, just straight up. If you threw a slider low and away, and it's still somewhat true, it's gotten a little bit better over the last month, but it's still somewhat true. You throw a slider low and away that's out way out of the strike zone, it's a guaranteed swing and a miss from Hobby. Statistically, he is for a while, for most of the season so far, has been the worst hitter in baseball against the pitch that is labeled slider. And it was pretty comfortable at one point. Like I said, gotten a little bit better, but still very much down there. Whiff rate, some of the highest in baseball, and has been almost the entirety of the season up to this point. The defense, the range has been pretty solid, but the throwing errors are very much a thing. And also just like not getting a glove on balls, which has not really been a thing historically for him. It's just been, uh, and it's not just him, right? It's every acquisition. Like I said at the beginning of the show, you brought in five. You brought in Spencer Torkelson, was not on the team last year, was on the team this year. Riley Green, Javi Baez, Eduardo Rodriguez, and I guess if you want to count Tucker Barnhart, was an acquisition that people, including myself, were excited for, and was going to be the everyday starting catcher. Wasn't expected to hit, but was expected to be a really good defender and be serviceable offensively. Serviceable offensively does not mean the worst qualified hitter almost in the entire sport. And that is what Tucker Barnhart has been for a majority of the year. And he hasn't been that good behind the plate to justify it. Eduardo Rodriguez wasn't exactly lighting the world on fire, right? He wasn't. And then he got hurt. And we were like, okay, that sucks, but that's really on brand for the year. Went to his rehab, finished his rehab assignment, and then has been MIA. No one can get a hold of him. The Detroit Tigers have tried calling him. He doesn't pick up. We can't even get a hold of his agent. Nonetheless, him. It is John Heyman wrote a piece about what he believes is going on and what the reports are going on. I'm not going to speculate on what's going on with him. I truly do hope everything's okay. I care about people and not not being defined by their occupations. And I really do hope everything is okay. It is the most on brand thing to happen this season to the Tigers, where a dude just have you ever seen this before? Have you? I sure haven't. And the thing is, he's not even getting paid. There's people out there that are like, oh yeah, he just collected a check and then left, and like this, this is ridiculous, and he's a horrible person and whatever. Like we just paid him this big contract, then he left. He's on a list that prevents him from getting paid. He is losing thousands of dollars that he could potentially be making if he was just in the dugout every single day. He is losing money. Not losing money like, oh, money's being taken out of his account, but like losing money in the sense that he is leaving money on the table, I should say. Every single day, he leaves thousands of dollars on the table. We're not paying him. He's on a list where you don't pay the people that are on the list. So who knows what's going on? Heyman has that article. You can go check it out and see for yourself if you want to go try and research and come to your own conclusion, I guess. But I'm not gonna speculate on another man's life. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. We will get into the rest of the first half of the season right after I tell y'all about our friends over at Built Bar. From the people who invented healthy and tasty comes the latest gift to your taste buds. You've probably tried the amazing coconut brownie chunk Built Bar. Well, guess what? They have given the coconut brownie chunk the Puffs treatment. That's right. Coconut brownie chunk Built Bar flavor, that flavor that you love, is now a delicious, chewy marshmallow covered in 100% real chocolate. It's like a fluffy cloud of coconut brownie goodness. It's unbelievable. So stop drooling and listen. They are good for you. They're low calorie, they're low sugar, they're high protein, and all delicious. They're only here for a limited time, though. So go to built.com right now and make sure you don't miss out. They're going fast because they taste amazing. All Built Bars have protein, which your body absorbs efficiently. It provides tons of health benefits. So you can eat something that tastes good and is good for you. The best part about Built Puffs is, of course, that they taste amazing, but you can enjoy them guilt-free. Delicious coconut, rich, sweet brownie, creamy marshmallow. Stop fantasizing and just go to built.com right now to order your first box of coconut brownie chunk Built Puffs right now. Go to built.com, use promo code LOCK15. You get 15% off of your order. That's promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at built.com. All right, everybody. Welcome back to our third and final segment here at Locked On Tigers. So we're talking about Javi Baez. We talked about Erod. There's no update on that either. And I'm not going to keep bringing it up. I'm not. This is, there are some, I don't even want to say networks. Well, I just did. There are some companies out there that just they talk about Erod every day. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. There's nothing to report on. You're either speculating about another person's life or you're just complaining to complain. He's not here. He's probably not going to be here anytime soon. Let's just move on. And we're not paying him. It sucks, but we'll see what happens. We'll see how it plays out. There's no way everybody has an update about this every day. The Tigers can't even talk to him. You sure as heck can't. All right. So that's happening. We have Javi. There's Erod. We talked about Tucker Barnhart. Jonathan Schoop is another one. He wasn't brought in, right? He was obviously re-signed, and everybody was super pumped about the extension. Everyone was super pumped about the extension. They moved him over to second. He has been ridiculous this season. There's really no other word for it. He is in the bottom 10 of qualified hitters in the game of baseball. However, if you go, I believe on Baseball Reference, his WAR is exactly 0. And I believe on Fangraphs, he's actually one of the higher WAR totals on the entire Detroit Tigers team, despite being one of the worst registered hitters in baseball. And that is because he has been comfortably, not close, the best defender on the planet at any position. It's ridiculous. His outs above average is the best by 4 or 5 at the All-Star break. He has a 20 OAA at the break. That's unbelievable. That's insanity. His defensive runs saved is some of the highest in baseball. He's not leading in that one, but it's one of the highest in the league. He plays a middle infield position and has been the best defender on the planet. And yet he has a 561 OPS. It's who could have predicted that? It is a series of absolute worst case scenarios for every single player, and it's that for nearly the entire roster. Spencer Torkelson, number 1 prospect in the organization at one point, was a top 5 prospect in the entire game of baseball. Number 1 overall pick that broke Barry Bonds records at Arizona State. He is what was over 900 OPS at all levels of the minors before he was called up with them. Was crushing the baseball once he got hot and adjusted to the AAA timing at the end of last year. And he makes the team right away. And it's a sign, they made the Austin Meadows trade, which we'll get to in a second. And the Torque made the team out of camp, no service manipulation or anything. And then we were like, okay, the Tigers are trying to win. That was the message that the fan base received. They were like, this team's trying to win. And Torkelson has been, this has been talked about a lot by quite a lot of people, but if you're looking at WAR, he has been legitimately one of the worst players in the game of baseball in any position, not just rookies, just anybody. He is one of the worst qualified players in all of baseball. His WAR for Baseball Reference, I believe, is around -1.5. I think his Fangraphs is honestly around the same thing. Sub 200 batting average, sub 300 slugging percentage. He's been good at scooping balls, which is nice. But as far as like first base defense, he's been pretty average. Um, I mean, it's been unbelievable, and at every level in the minors. Torkelson's done a thing where he starts off slow and then goes supernova. And we talked about this a few days ago, so we won't spend too much time on it. But and we were all just like, okay, he does this at every level. We've seen it. He starts off slow and then goes crazy. Starts off slow, goes crazy. And we were all just been waiting for the go crazy, and it just never came. So he's down back in Toledo. Jeimer Candelario for the last 2 years has been a really good hitter. Led the American League, tied for leading the American League in doubles last year. Has been a great find, and one of the few like Avila success stories, according to most, was the Candelario trade. Right, he traded his son and Justin Wilson for Isaac Paredes and Jeimer Candelario when they were prospects. And Jeimer started off his Tigers career slow, and then 2020 happened. In the shortened season, he hit the ball great. And then last year, he hit the ball great. This year, 570. Listen to these OPSs. These are the people that have started the most at all these positions, okay? Tucker Barnhart, 510. Torkelson, 577. Scope, 561. Baez, 626. Candelario, 570. Grossman, 586. Derek Hill, 559, but Riley Green has a 709. So we'll plug Riley Green in for that one. 709. Victor Reyes, 693. Miguel Cabrera, 670. If you look at OPS plus, that is, if you have an 100 OPS plus, you are a league average hitter, right? We have, out of all of those, 2 guys that have 100 or better, and they're Victor Reyes, who has a 100. He is an exactly league average hitter. And we have Riley Green, who is a 106, 6% better than league average. And that is by far the youngest dude on the team. Austin Meadows, that trade, again, we were kind of like, okay, we're trying to win. Riley Green gets hurt. We bring in Austin Meadows. This is great. And he gets injured in ways that no one has really ever been injured before. And it's just the story that keeps on getting told in a different way every time. And it's unbelievably frustrating. I'm sure it's unbelievably frustrating for him. But it's just... And Isaac Paredes went on that home run streak. Let's get one thing clear. Everything before the home run streak and everything since the home run streak ended has not been great for Isaac Paredes. He went on one like 3-week tear where he was the best hitter in baseball, and he absolutely deserves that credit, and I'm rooting for him. I've always liked Isaac, but people hate Avila so much that they're trying to make this out as like, oh, Austin Meadows is never going to play a game again for the Detroit Tigers, and Isaac Paredes is going to be a perennial all-star. Paredes stats on the year, again, outside of that like 1 month stretch, are not really... His on-base percentage on the season is literally still sub 300. It's just his slugging percentage is ridiculous because he went on a streak where he hit a home run basically every day for like almost a month. So let's take it way too early to call that a failure. That trade a failure, I guess, is my point. But like Austin Meadows, he goes through all the injuries, and a guy that has hit high 20s, low 30s home run totals for most of his career, or most of his prime at least. He's only a few years in, I guess. The last couple of seasons, 0 home runs. We don't have anybody in double-digit home runs at the All-Star break. This team's leading home run hitter is Javi Baez with 9. Eric Haas has 7, and he's not even the everyday starting catcher. And Jonathan Schoop, who's one of the worst, has one of the lowest OPSs of an everyday starter in baseball, is 3rd with 6. It's just, it's unbelievable. And there has been some upsides. This is not just let's just talk about how miserable everything is, but it is a failure of a season. So that's going to be a majority of it. Tarek Skubal has taken big leaps. I know, he went on a 4 or 5 start streak there where it's dipped down a little bit. Even those starts, you're still seeing signs of improvement from last year. He's taken a step in the right direction, and I can't wait to see what he does for the second half of the year. All of the starters got hurt at one point, which is another thing that could only happen to the Tigers in 2022. It was unbelievable. But Bo Brisky has stepped up and been solid enough. Alex Faedo has stepped up and again kept this team's head above water at least. Michael Pineda, I know his last outing was absolutely horrific. Besides that outing, has been good enough to keep this team in games. And then the bullpen has obviously been a massive success story, and we'll talk about them in a second. So you can't win if you can't score runs. That's really what this comes down to. And this team can't hit the ball out of the infield. And I can't, ball go far, team go far. We've talked about it all year. It's been one thing after the other after the other. And in the second half of the season, what are we looking for? Well, I think unfortunately it's time to bring up the fact that we're looking for trades. And it's going to be bullpen pieces. Nobody wants any of our hitters. They don't. Jonathan Scope, you might be able to dangle in front of somebody and go, look, good defense, and your team has a great lineup. You don't need the offense. And even then, like you're not going to get a crazy good return for it. Like you're stuck with all the big contract. You're stuck with Javi. Nobody's going to want Tucker Barnhart. Nobody's going to want Jeimer Candelario. I can't imagine anyone would want Robbie Grossman after the year he's had. He has a 275 slugging percentage. There's nobody on offense that you're going to trade. There isn't. And there's no starters. Unless you're going to trade Tarek Skubal, there's no starters that anybody wants either. So you could see a huge fire sale in the bullpen. Gregory Soto still has a year or two of control left. Alex Lang, I don't think is going anywhere. He's too young, and you have him for like the next 5 years if you wanted. I don't think that's going to happen. But Joe Jimenez, I think, is the biggest candidate to get moved, as he's running out of service time there. And I think Michael Fulmer is a candidate to get moved. And I think Andrew Chafin, you sign him to a 2-year deal. That's a candidate to get moved. Those three guys would be what I would look for in the second half of the year. What would I consider a successful second half of the season? Competitive baseball. I don't care about a draft pick anymore. The MLB draft, as we have seen with our own two eyes, the top pick does not guarantee that you are going to get a generational talent. Not every 1-1 pick in history you can build an entire organization around. That's not how it works. Okay? We've seen it with our own two eyes. And just go look at the history of number 1 overall picks. It's actually not that good. It's really not. And the production and success of number 1 overall picks is honestly not that impressive. You don't need to do that to be good. That's a basketball thing where one player can single-handedly take you to an Eastern Conference Finals. It's not a baseball thing. You need a lot more. You need to draft better outside of the first round. We could have this conversation for another half hour. I mean, and it all comes back to the conversation about Al Avila. That's what the climax reaches right there at that conversation. So we'll end with this. I think that it is ridiculous, honestly, to say that Al Avila has not done a single thing right his entire tenure. I think that's pretty arrogant and just like clickbaity. That's asinine to say. That being said, I'll be darned if it's not almost. Go read the Ken Rosenthal article. He just lays out all of Al Avila's moves in his tenure. Not a lot of hits. Not a lot of success drafting after the first round, although I have liked the last 2 drafts, admittedly. Historically, he has not found a lot of production outside of the first 2 rounds. He hasn't even really found a lot of production in the first rounds, to be completely honest with you, outside of Riley Green so far. His trades are horrible. And the free agent signings, this offseason was the first time he's gotten money since 2016. 2016, he went out and signed Jordan Zimmerman, which was an absolute failure. Jay Up, I guess, was like kind of like okay signing, but you traded him for a bag of potato chips. You signed Mark Lowe, who was one of the worst relievers in baseball. It's just And then, you finally give them more money this year. Like, hey, go spend, and you get what we've already explained in the show. We don't need to repeat ourselves. So there you have it. First half of the year. What do I think needs to happen in the second half to be a successful season? I just want to see this team score some freaking runs. That's it. And I don't care about a draft pick. If anybody says bag it in and go for the draft pick, clearly you have not been watching how this rebuild has gone for the last half a decade. A high draft pick doesn't mean anything. The Dodgers have one of the best farm systems in baseball. They pick at 30 every single year. It does not matter. You can find talent at any pick in any round. You can. Go out there and score some freaking runs so we know that next year maybe things will be different. That's a successful season, the second half of the season to me. A successful second half is after game 162. If me and some other people in this fan base look around and go, you know what, the first half was an absolute just embarrassment. The second half gave me hope that 2023 will actually be different. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Now make your second listen, the Locked On MLB Prospects podcast. Host Lindsey Crosby is a prospect encyclopedia. He's going deep on the MLB stars of tomorrow. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. I got to get out of here. On Locked On Red Wings, we should have a pretty fun episode, so you can go check that out. And we'll be back tomorrow recapping a doubleheader. First game back from the All-Star breaks, a doubleheader. Score some runs, baby. That's all I want. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. I'll catch y'all then. Go Tigers.